Hi, I'm Jason,
And I'm Lizette, and this is a special Route 66 series of Curious Caravan.
where we follow the trail of the Mother Road and dig up stories you won't find on souvenir postcards.
From giant roadside creatures to ghost towns with attitude, we're exploring it all. So let's go.
Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Curious Caravan as we continue along our Route 66 series. And today we're ending it in California, end of the line of Route 66. And we're super excited because we've got Bobby Marinelli back, who was the director of Route 66, the Mother Road series. And we also have Christie Monturo, who was one of the producers on the show. Welcome, Christie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And we've got Bobby back. Thanks for joining us again, Bobby.
We're back.
Yes,
Yay.
capping it all off. So, California, end of the line for Route 66. I would assume that after every leg of this route has been so different geographically. I mean, when I think of California, you don't really think sometimes Route 66 retro.
Mhm.
So, what stood out to you in terms of this leg of Route 66? Bobby, Christie, either can jump in, but what made it different from what you might have expected or from the rest of it?
You're not traveling a span or crossing the country. You're now in a
Sure.
place, but
Mhm.
the 66, the route is still there.
And I know that you stopped off at the Western Railroad Museum as one of the first stops. And I know that's really a place for railroad enthusiasts. They've got historic train cars outside and everything, but I also know that they've got a Route 66 museum actually tucked away in it. So, Bobby, what made that a fun little spot?
I mean, you said at the Railroad Museum, if you're a railroad enthusiast, it's just like a dreamscape for you, just because it has so much detailed information and artifacts and things of that nature. So, like, one of the cool things is the railroad spikes, like the nails that they use to put the railroads in,
Mhm.
or to put the ties in, I guess. They actually, like, so that they could identify the age or make of the nails. They have
Oh,
numbers embedded into them, and they have a whole like exhibit of just every single type of nail. But that's how detailed this
wow.
museum is, and it has just all kinds of stuff like that.
Now, for Route 66, the Route 66 museum itself, was there anything there that was highlighted that you may not have seen the
So
rest of the
just,
route?
yeah, in the same building, just around the corner from the Railroad Museum, which also has like rail cars and everything outside of it.
Mhm.
There's a 66 museum kind of like in the basement of this really beautiful historic building. But that had a lot of like 50s kitsch. It had a few classic cars in it. It had old furniture. It was cool in a way because it was the end of a series of 66 museums, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Where we started in Illinois, you kind of got like all of their history in these places. This was cool because it tied everything together in the California aspect of what 66 was.
Fun. Now, I know next was you went to Rancho Cucamonga and you went to Cucamonga service station, which that to me is almost like the Eastern Route 66. It's been like kerplunked down in the Western Route 66 because it is kind of like one of those icons of the route. It was built in 1915. I know they restored it to look like its original from back in the day. What was cool about this spot?
It feels like you stop being on this attraction when you get
Sure.
to California because you're now like just in cities and things that have a life of their own. And so
Mhm.
what happens is like, just with history, a lot of this stuff gets washed away and it becomes the city gets its own identity, right? It's not just a piece of Route 66. What was really cool about the Cucamonga service station was it had been erased, this service station. This was one of the original, like, last stops before you leave on the
Mhm.
path to Route 66. And it had become a number of different businesses along its history. But these gentlemen who love the place and love its history took it in their own effort, restored it perfectly to the images and any archival stuff that they could find. What's cool is that they're people who really care about it, and they're volunteers that are there, and you could go in and talk to them, and they'll tell you all about its place in 66, its place in California. Just really passionate people. And, that was really appreciated. It just felt like we were like welcomed into this community of old men with classic cars. And it was really cool. We all took pictures with all their classic cars. Were so passionate about their cars, how they like bring them out into the community, do parades, do homecoming, just really proud. And it was deservingly so. Like
Uh,
they've done a really cool thing and are maintaining a important part of history there.
Sounds like a place my dad would like. He is an old car enthusiast. He restored a 1950s Ford, so
These
that
are
might
his
be a place.
guys.
Yeah, these are his guys. He would fit right
Yeah.
in with these gentlemen for sure. One of my favorite spots just on Route 66 is Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch, which I know that's like a really popular spot to stop, but like this is legitimately a 2 acre ranch that was created by this guy Elmer Long, and I know that it has like 200 trees made of glass bottles. What can you tell us about that spot?
This was one of my favorite places for sure. I mean, the place is just magical. Basically, like this city used to be an agricultural kind of just green, like thriving city.
Hmm.
And just because of changing conditions and things like that, it kind of turned back into desert, right? But this family had a plot of land where the father, Elmer, worked at the concrete factory and found this farmland and bought it and raised a family on it. When his father died, he was kind of a collector of sorts. And so he had this collection of bottles. And to honor his father, Elmer decided to build a tree he welded it and put the bottles on it. And then it just became this self driven passion or hobby that he began building more and more and more and filled his yard up with it. He was just spending his days building this for no economic reason. He wasn't profiting off of doing this. It was just his expression. And so when Elmer passed, after some years, his son Elliot has taken over the property and is just like his father, kind of doing the same thing. And for no reason other than to, I guess, beautify this property that's like family legacy is just continuing, and this place continues to grow. There's a crazy thing to compare it to, but when you go to Barcelona, there's Sagrada Familia,
Yeah.
the cathedral.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
I told him, like, his story just reminds me of that. It's just a living artistic expression. There's no practical reason to keep doing it, but they are, and it's growing and it's getting prettier and cooler. And it's a really special place to stop.
Definitely need to get there and see it in person myself one day because it's one of the one spots that really stood out to me. I know moving to San Bernardino, let's start to talk about food on Route 66, but I know that you stopped at the Mitla Cafe, which has, it's authentic Mexican. It's been around since 1937. Wasn't it like the original inspiration for what we know as Taco Bell today?
It definitely was. They said that the people who created Taco Bell basically stopped at Mitla or, frequented Mitla and took inspiration from their menu, which was more like a home style Mexican
Sure.
cuisine. But what I think the inspiration was like, and this is something that you don't really see at Mexican places. Usually it's the queso blanco or right, like the white cheese, the crumbly cheese. Mitla had cheddar cheese or a yellow, like
Oh.
shredded cheese on their tacos. And so, like, that to me was what was really like Taco Bell and familiar about these recipes, or you could see where Taco Bell like got their inspo for the original recipe and the things we love about Taco Bell. And don't
Oh,
lie,
I
we all love Taco
No,
Bell,
I love
right?
Taco Bell. I
Yeah.
listen, that's the one place I'll eat. Don't worry about it. That's if there's fast food, it's going to be the Taco Bell. But I do love myself some authentic Mexican, from time to time. Was the food good? Did anything stand out from there that you enjoyed?
The food, I told you, I started the trip telling myself I was
Oh,
going
I
to be
know.
really good and on diet. This was
Ugh.
just like, this was the cap to it all. I went absolutely insane at this place. We filled the table and just like got to taste every single menu item. And I highly, highly recommend it. The chili relleno was the dish to get.
All right, guys, take note, folks, if you're there. Chili relleno, that's the one.
The
Uh,
Tex-Mex in me is trying to think about what I'd eat here, so I am ready.
now,
Just order the menu and just share with everyone.
is
That's what you
it
want to do.
As I
that
should.
work? Now, moving to classic Hollywood in Los Angeles, I know that you guys stopped at the Hollywood Roosevelt, which it's upscale hotel dating back to 1927, across the street from the TLC Chinese Theater. What about this spot did you find super interesting or surprising? I'm going to throw Christy this one to start off because I know you were there, Christy. What did you think of this place?
Yeah, so I live in Los Angeles, but I don't really spend a whole lot of time in Hollywood just because, yeah, it's like living in New York City and going to Times Square. So I haven't been to this hotel, but it's absolutely iconic. I mean, the first ever Academy Awards were hosted here, and we got to see the ballroom where the Academy Awards took place, which when you're thinking about a ballroom of the Academy Awards size, you're thinking like a huge venue, but it's actually really like the size of like a high school gymnasium. And you can kind of like picture it too, because they have done a lot of restorative efforts to try to keep, some of the same like architecture and painting and like everything from back then. So I think when they uncovered it originally, Bobby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they tried to paint it the same way that it was painted when they found it.
It's now restored to what it was.
So they like, made it look exactly how it would have looked back then, which was really cool. And then we actually also got to go up to some of the penthouses, and it was incredible because the penthouses have roof access. So we were literally standing next to the huge Hollywood Roosevelt sign on the roof, looking, over at the Hollywood sign, and you can see the entire city. It was just beautiful. One of the apartments up there is the Gable Lombard penthouse where Clark Gable and Carol Lombard lived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's insane. It's beautiful. There was another apartment that we went in briefly too, which I think it's called the Johnny Grant apartment, which is like
It's the unofficial mayor.
Yes, he was the unofficial mayor, and he was like a radio DJ, but kind of like almost like a paparazzi type figure. But everybody loved him. Like the celebs all respected him, and he lived there.
He was the guy who hosted like anyone who got a Hollywood Walk of Fame star.
Oh.
The rumor has it if you stay in that apartment, you'll win the Academy Award. So I think there's like fights all the time between actresses and actors to, stay in that room the night before the Academy Awards.
Glenn Close, you need to stay in this room. You're listening. This is the room to sleep in next time you get nominated. All right. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Now, do they host tours for people in the public? I know that some of these spots they might not visit totally, but I mean, is the hotel like available for people to just like explore at some level, or is it more of?
You could definitely visit the Roosevelt without reservation and get a fabulous drink in one of their kitschy old Hollywood bars.
Oh, okay.
And I think, Christy, right? You could book a pool pass too on some occasions.
Yes, there's certain dates where they don't. If they're like pretty booked, they won't do the pool passes just to avoid overcrowding. But you can get like a day pass to the pool and spend the day.
Fun.
Nice.
So if you need to like chill out on your Route 66 adventure, get a day past the pool, you'll feel like, all Hollywood glam while you're there. So moving along, I know that you guys made a stop at the iconic Formosa Cafe in West Hollywood, known for its amazing Asian cuisine. It's got like neon green signage out front. It's known as some of the best Chinese apparently in the area. So does it live up to its name?
I would say, yeah. What's cool about the Formosa is it's like this very Hollywood insider, like secret meeting spot because it's right next to one of the largest studios.
Okay.
So like whenever Hollywood folk wanted to make a deal that didn't involve their studio, they would take a meeting over at the Formosa, either at late night under the cloak of this dark little Chinese
sneaky.
food place. And so you get to kind of like, you could still go there and live that little Hollywood secret.
Hollywood side mission, share an egg roll, from this spot.
Yeah, my crew didn't know this. I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but we got these like, they gave us t-shirts, and the t-shirts were in little Chinese food containers. And I actually had 2 other Chinese food containers with sticky short rib noodles and spicy dan dan in it that I devoured in my room late at night, embarrassingly.
You're bye guys, don't talk to me for the rest of the night.
The food was outstanding. I don't think Christy would disagree.
Christy's like, that's where all the food went.
Yeah, no, it was phenomenal. And I lived in New York for a few years, and it was never hard to find Chinese food. But I will say, moving to LA, I had a harder time finding really good Chinese food. This was amazing. Like, I'm definitely going back here. For sure.
Well,
that's a stunning recommendation.
Yes, if the locals love it, that's where to go. Speaking of classic Hollywood too, I know that you stopped at Barney's Beanery, which is
Not
an
a coffee
old school,
shop.
not a coffee shop, by the way, folks, just by what you think, but it's, a bar, full service bar restaurant. I know it goes back like over 100 years. And apparently it started, from what I was reading, started as like a small chili cafe before like expanding into what it is today. But what can you tell us about that spot?
Barney's is cool because it's a like very known Hollywood hangout bar in West Hollywood. It's not rare to see a celebrity just kind of laying low at that bar. So I don't know, Christy, if you've ever had an encounter, but I've certainly been there when I was in LA and seen a celebrity or two hanging out. But we did get to visit it with this guy, John, who does a Hollywood Sunset Strip like tour. Which was cool because he tells you the whole history of Barney's Beanery. Why it's that it's Beanery because it was named for this very famous chili that they serve.
Did
But
you get the chili? Do they still serve it there?
absolutely, yeah, we got
Oh,
the chili, we got the chili
good.
dog, we got the chili burger, the chili fries. We did chili four ways while we were there, and it was excellent.
As you should. I have to ask though, you mentioned you had a celebrity spotting. Name drop them. I just want to know who.
Not that exciting.
Oh
Oh,
man, never mind. I don't
I'll
need to
I'll
know.
tell you who it is. You can cut it out if you want. Do you remember? You're not going to know because you're too
Ah,
young. But
oh,
Jason will
no.
know. Remember Kid and Play?
yes.
It was Kid.
Oh,
Oh.
I was
no,
just sitting
that
there
would.
drinking beers with Kid from Kid and Play.
Christy, you've got to have seen someone that would be more popular at Barney's Beanery.
I no, I haven't been to Barney's Beanery, but I have seen some celebrities around LA for sure.
There's a very famous picture of Taylor Swift sitting in Barney's Beanery in one of the booths.
Oh, no. I'm
Well,
still looking up who Kid and Play is, to be honest,
oh
guys.
well, gosh, make us all feel so old. Thanks, Lizette.
I'm so
Um,
sorry.
so rounding out Route 66, because it literally is Route 66 ends here at the Santa Monica Pier, truly the end of the line. What would you say makes Santa Monica Pier the perfect close for this type of, trip or journey? Because, you go from Chicago and now we're at Santa Monica Pier.
Well, I'll tell you what made it a great ending to our trip was I told you on the other podcast how we took a message from Illinois all the way
Yes.
across. When we got there, we're like, what are the chances we're going to find this guy? The first thing we see is this little booth that says Route 66 end of the road. And
Uh-huh.
it's like a ceremonial little, it's like a little tool shed, And inside of it is sitting this guy, and we look on his name tag, and it's Ian, and we're like, no way that this is you
The
know what I'm saying?
Ian.
Just yeah, we got the Ian. So we got to tell him that we carried this video message all the way across the U.S. to give him, and we delivered it. He knew exactly who it came from and was so excited to get it. It was funny.
Oh,
He
well,
was
that's
like, "Oh
kind of
my
like,
God,
Uh,
Darren!" But we had to say like we weren't going to bring a message back to him. He would have to call him or something if he wanted to
he could put
do
it in the
that.
group chat. It's okay.
now yeah, right. The group, the technologically advanced group chat for Route 66. That's fun. That's kind of like a really great way to end it. The message traveled across the entire route. You actually found the Ian at the end of Route 66.
Christy will tell you it ended weirder than that. We were
Oh.
four guys in a car that had spent 21 days on the road together. So I think we were losing our minds a little bit.
Yeah, a little loopy, a little loopy.
Jason, we ended every day of our trip listening to Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts.
Oh.
It's
So
very
when we,
Cars-esque.
well, yeah, and that's exactly it. And so at that time, by the time we got to the pier, we all knew all the words to it and everything. So we ended the trip by singing Life is a Highway on the Santa Monica Pier and then tossing our toy soldiers that we got at the beginning of the trip
Oh
over
no.
into the sand. So somebody will find
And and Christy was like, "What did I walk into
it. Exactly.
at the end here?"
She's
What
being
is going
serenaded.
on? Yes, I was.
Fun. Well, thank you so much for joining us and on this fun trip across Route 66. We really appreciate your insight, Bobby. And thank you, Christy, for joining us on this California edition.
Now
And
we got to find Ian,
now
Jason.
we've got to find Ian. Now, yes,
Yeah.
everyone, look out for
Go
Ian.
see Ian. If you want to plan a Route 66 trip, just go see Ian and he will map the whole thing out for you.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review Curious Caravan on your favorite podcast platform. It helps more curious minds like you find us.
And if you're hungry for more, follow us on social for extra content and behind-the-scenes sneak peeks.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep being curious, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Curious Caravan.